Right, so I gather it's 7 o'clock, so we'll make a start. It is really impressive to see so many people here come to, come to share your views. So I gather there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 5 people wishing to speak. No, 1, 2. No, there are 4 people wishing to speak. So as I've said, you'll have 3 minutes. So we'll move into the open session in a minute. And then what we'll do is we'll have some procedural items to go through. And then when we get to the end of those, we'll bring forward some of the agenda items so that we can discuss them then. And at that point, we'll suspend standing orders so that we can ask you questions. So in the order in which I knew people were coming, I think Andy Leader was the first that I knew was coming. So would you like to go first?
Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
I'm Andy Leader, Home First resident and volunteer with Peak Northern Footpath Society. I contacted the Parish Council about the quarry at Windy Hill and the effect all the wagons are having on Cartmouth Moor Road and the damage to the road, which is popular with walkers and cyclists, etc. Things have moved on a bit since that email, insofar as the council, Kirklees, have turned down the planning application, which was for 16 vehicular movements a day, even though we all know it was way more than that. And I understand that they're now taking enforcement action there to try and get things put as they should be, which is quite a process, quite a difficult process. Meanwhile, the Cartmouth Moor Road has actually been closed to the public, ironically, but the wagons can still go to the quarry. And the road was very badly damaged. It looks like the quarry operator has now tipped hundreds of tons of inert waste on the road to form a kind of surface. Now, I'm sure that's without any authority. My question is, can the Parish Council, would you be willing to try and influence Kirklees to get it put right, but in a good, sensitive kind of way that benefits people that walk up and down there or cycle up and down there, not just heavy goods vehicles, etc. And in general, there seems to be a problem with these unmade lanes and byways in the valley, Scaly Gate, Cheesegate now, Ramsden Road, falling into a state of disrepair, and no matter how many times you ask or push Kirklees, you get very little response. And they're very popular with walkers, cyclists and horse riders. You know, they're part of the landscape here, 200 years old since the Grey Ship of Home Enclosure Awards. They deserve treating a little bit better than what they are really. And if the Parish Council, Kirklees, maybe could come up with some kind of policy on how to treat them and maintain them that benefits the wider public, not just vehicle users, and try and get people walking locally and enjoying what we have here. That was my kind of point really in a nutshell.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Andy. As I said, later on in the meeting there'll be an opportunity for members to ask you questions. Right. So, Ian Hodgkinson. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Francis. When I was asked to present something to this committee, I was told that it had to be something on the agenda. And our planning application hasn't come onto it, hasn't been officially applied for it. But I believe tonight you're going to talk about traffic calming around local schools, road safety in Hinchliffe Mill, and something about conservation areas. So I think we have something to contribute. It's just that the residents of Homebridge received a letter last week saying that Orion Homes are planning to build 16 new houses on site HS 183. Now that is the Greenfield site to the west of Bankfield Drive. Sorry, I've actually prepared some maps if you'd like to circulate them. This is a Greenfield site to the west of Bankfield Drive, shown in red on the map. You probably all know where it is anyway. But as you can see, the site has already been designed for future expansion. There's a road going through it, leading to the southwest corner towards the Peak Park boundary, which is one of my other pet subjects. An official planning application has not yet been submitted, but local residents wanted to be sure that the planning committee, your planning committee, were aware of this proposal before you start discussing these other topics tonight. In our opinion, a minimum of an extra 32 cars from the 16 houses will be on top of the 38 cars that are probably being generated by the housing development that's already tentatively approved in Hinchliffe Mill. This would certainly increase the danger to children around Hinchliffe Mill School, which I've outlined in yellow on the map. It would also increase road safety problems at the junction of Woodhead Road, Quat Lane, and Water Street with Quat Lane, which are very dangerous junctions. I've put some blue dots on the map to indicate where they are. And if this application is passed, the Holmbridge development would also create more traffic through the Hinchliffe Mill Conservation Area, both on Woodhead Road and Dove Lane. I've put some green marks on the map to indicate the boundaries of the conservation area. And slightly separate subject, I understand from reading previous minutes that you might shortly be meeting with Jason McCartney. And I wondered if you might discuss with him the point that as things stand at the moment, the builder of the properties pays for the transport statement to be carried out, which I don't really agree with. The transport statement that's attached to the actual planning application. And in the previous years, this was done by a totally independent highways expert. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. And next, Alison, is it Alison? Griffiths?
Oh, Ailsa
sorry.
Griffiths,
Yeah,
yes.
the 50 metre mast.
Yeah, I'm a resident of Hinchliffe Mill, and there is a prior application, I think, gone in for a 17-metre mast to be for the 5G mobile phone networks to be positioned on the pavement at the bottom of Stubbing Lane. The mast at 17 metres high would completely dominate the conservation area. My property roof line is 12 metres from the road. The cottages opposite me only reach 9 metres. So this would be a huge structure in the middle of a conservation area. In the planning application, they claim that because the pavement is slightly wider there, that would be a suitable place. In fact, the pavement width is mostly compromised by people needing to park their cars with two wheels up on the pavement, because planning pressure in Hinchliffe Mill is increased as more and more cars and vans, particularly large, transit vans, have been parking there. I just think they would all, besides the dominant nature of this mast, it would also be a danger to pedestrians and traffic, particularly those people exiting Stubbing Lane, who are already their sight line is blocked by the vehicles that are parked. And the mast would come with, I understand, 3 or 4 equipment cabinets that would be placed on the pavement. So, I think it compromises road safety, it's inappropriate in a conservation area, and there are alternative industrial sites in the Holmbridge area and the Hinchliffe Mill area that could be investigated, but there's been no reference to that at all in their planning application. I presume the pavement is the cheapest place to locate these cabinets and the mast. So, I'm asking you for support really to protect the conservation area and also the Home Valley Neighbourhood Development Plan, which it clearly contradicts.
Thank you. Thanks, Elsa. Right, and finally, we've got Sharon Blake talking about application number 20.
This was a withdrawn application. This was withdrawn last time. These is the users way withdrawn last time. So that's all done. Thank you.
It was the subject of a withdrawn application last year, and those were the parish council's comments at last submission. We're directly affected by the application because we live below Woodhead Road. Although if you looked on the northern elevation plan, I think we'd be forgiven for thinking that our house doesn't actually exist. There is planning history and outline application approval in 2019 and the withdrawn application in 2022. The officer's report in 2019 was clear, and I can quote, "The site is capable of accommodating a single dwelling in the flattest part of the site to the north, considered to be a relatively low ecological value, positioned broadly in line with numbers 37 and 39. The vendors at number 39 are now offering for sale a so-called building plot, but they're refusing to sell the land which Kirklees considered in 2019 as suitable for the single dwelling. And this is a fundamental problem of the site because the applicants, a third party, are now having to submit speculative applications on land which Kirklees deemed in 2019 which was unsuitable because of its challenging topography and the overlooking to the property, our property below. We are trying to work with the applicants to try and avoid objection and to find some common ground, but we're having problems with this because of the constraints put on by the vendors. We've provided, I provided you with the comments for the withdrawn application. We believe this was withdrawn to prevent a second officer's report being produced, because on speaking with the officer, we believe that her report would have been consistent with that in 2019. So we now have a third planning officer looking at this site. It's somewhat surprising that Kirklees haven't appointed the same officer with knowledge of the site. We're asking if you would please make the same objections you did in 2022. In relation to those objections, a climate mitigation statement has been produced this time, but question 7 does say, please refer to the ecological impact statement, and there is this time no ecological impact statement. Footway has not been provided, even though it was conditioned in 2019 and described as key to development. It's something that's drastically needed on Far End Lane. The blind access remains, there's no sight lines on the plan. In 2019 an access here was not acceptable, and compared even to the 2022 withdrawal, the position has worsened because we've now no setback and there are parking spaces with EV charging within vehiculars the sight lines to oncoming traffic. In relation to the harmonising with the built environment, in comparison with the 2019 application, the dwelling has moved another 20 metres away from the vendor's property, number 39, and it now sits over 30 metres away from number 39. Overlooking and potential for loss of light, we did employ a specialist surveyor who confirmed that our concerns are valid, and we requested a daylight and sunlight assessment. We haven't seen a daylight and sunlight assessment. The applicant is claiming to have made concessions in relation, but this is in relation to the speculative withdrawal application, which was on the site previously unsuitable, and not in relation to the 29 application. Separation distances should be increased for steep topography, and our private amenity space is at the side of our property, not conventionally as it would be at the rear. And finally, in relation to the Kirklees Wildlife Network, no information has been provided. It's described again as overgrown wasteland, which it clearly has been neglected garden, and we suspect this is to achieve a false biodiversity net gain. So we're just asking the Parish Council to look at the previous objections and to please raise them again this time, so we can hope to put pressure on the vendors to allow the dwelling to be where it was deemed suitable in 2019.
Thank you. Thanks very much. Right, I have to say I'm really welcome the fact that so many people have come to talk to us. I think it's a really, really positive mood. So thank you. Thanks very much for coming. So as I explained earlier, what we'll do now is we'll go through some procedural matters, and then we'll bring forward on the agenda the issues that you've spoken about. Right, so let's go. So, so item 155, this meeting is being recorded. Does anybody wish to make any additional recording? No? Thank you. Move on. 156, apologies for absence.
just Councillor Dixon.
Yeah, thank you. Are we happy with that? Yeah?
Yeah.
Mr. Stanley? Yeah, thank you. Right, and 157, to receive members and officers' personal and disclosable pecuniary interest in items on the agenda. Anybody anything to declare? Yes,
I've got
Vic
to
Hawk.
do, I've got the Hinchliffe Mill mast and the Hinchliffe Mill access and roads basically.
Hang on, sorry.
I was just going to say for the Peak District one, for the topograph, we've all got an interest.
Yes, we do. Yes. Yeah, so I was going to suggest when we when we come to that one, we're all declaring interest, as it is it's a parish council planning. It's one that parish council's put in if you're a bit bemused. So obviously we all need to declare an interest, and we will therefore not discuss that application at all when we come to it.
Yeah, could I just ask you, I was asked to come and speak about the Cheesegate Landslide and Scaly Gate and off Green Lines in the area. I don't know if I should have asked to speak or not.
Yeah, you probably should, yes, strictly. But we will be discussing the lanes in general, the roads in general. So if you want to.
Can we bring that item forward, and then maybe the member of the public can speak then to us about it?
Yeah.
Might be best doing the plans first, so the members can leave and then do that one, if that's okay.
Yeah, and so I've just kind of sort of another initiate to do things. Okay.
Sorry, just one additional comment. I'm conscious that gentleman who spoke to us about Battlefield Drive, obviously we haven't got that as a planning application or an item on the agenda, so I just thought we should maybe make them aware we won't be able to discuss it in go on to the next agenda, but it's very useful to have that information at this stage anyway, to know it's coming.
But we have got traffic in Hinchliffe Mill and abundance there,
Yeah,
so it's not to that yet. So we will be discussing that planning application at a later meeting, obviously. Yeah.
Can I just ask a question? Do you get prior warning like the residents have got prior warning?
No,
I believe some these councils have received a map of the
They've done,
of the site.
but we don't. We get information once it becomes into the public.
Okay.
Once it becomes into the public domain.
I mean, I was guessing to be on our next meeting, won't
Yeah.
it?
I think it will be. Yeah.
I know I'm talking about the lodging of the application information that was circulated to certain Kirklees councils, that's all.
No, we don't get any. We don't get any prior notification. It appears on our list, and then we have to act accordingly. Right, let's continue with these procedural matters. So, item 158, any new DPI dispensations? Have there been? No, thank you. Right, 159, do we wish to discuss any of the items in private session? No? Right, thank you. And, right. And the last of the procedural items, I ask if you want to confirm the minutes of the previous meeting held on the 30th of January. Yes, thank you. Okay. Proposed and seconded. Thank you. So at this point, we bring the items forward. I think first of all we bring forward item 166, which is the Ramsden Road. Can I? So that's 166, item 5. Right. And ask if it's suspend standing orders so we can ask questions of Andy Leader if need be.
167, I think you're talking about.
Sorry?
Oh,
Councillor Road.
That's not
Okay,
the
fine. Right. Oh yes, sorry. Yeah, it's definitely on the agenda. Right, item 167. Right. Any
Well, there's a bit of a mixture, isn't there?
there is a bit of a mix. They overlap.
166 has got Ramsden Road,
Yeah.
167's Calvers.
Yeah.
168 Cheesegate.
Yes.
And really they're all,
And really they're all, yes, really they're
It's
all
not
one and the
different.
same. Yes.
It's not that different issues.
Yeah.
different issues that common thing
Yeah, but
and perhaps a common solution.
We have had pretty extensive communication over quite a long time with Kirklees officers over the state of these lanes. I don't. Do you want to report on where things are at this point?
Right, if I start with Cheesegate now, my understanding is that there was a TRO put on Cheesegate, Nav and Scalegate 18 months ago.
Yeah.
In order to carry out emergency repairs, which it doesn't appear anything has been done. The time limit's up, and of course someone has asked that the temporary TRO is taken off and the blocks are removed, which is what they've done. And unfortunately, I imagine that the same vehicles have now returned, so 4x4s, trail bikes, bus
Trail bikes
bikes.
are back, to be fair, we haven't had any 4x4s yet, but it's,
All right, okay.
it's
that's
not even a
positive.
week since.
Can I just say that it's 10 months since the TRO's put on Scalegate. Scalegate hasn't even had 18 months.
No.
I live there.
Yeah, it's just the Cheesegate and Nav has had 18 months, and for
Yeah.
whatever reason they've chosen to remove them all, haven't they? Yeah. As I said, there doesn't seem to be any repairs done, though there's a bit of discussion about that, but I think from what people are saying, there haven't been any repairs done. So it just bewilders me as to what their policy, their ideas are around these lanes and others. And that's where we want to write down some of, which is similar but not the same situation.
So I'm just conscious, I think we need to address it. I know there's the wider picture, but I do think there's specific actions we can take to each one. So personally, I think for Cheesegate Nav, it's the issue that those blocks have been removed, and one would assume there is a point at which once they've been removed, they can then be, if they go through the process again, reinstated on the same basis that they were in the first place. There just have to be a gap, but, because that's often what happens with, temporary things like that. So I personally would propose that we write to the appropriate department in Kirklees to say we're, particularly with representations, just from the comments of people here today, to say, that it's caught the removal of these blocks. We understand that this has been done because of a procedural requirement of the length of time, but the problem has not been resolved, and there's been a return of antisocial driving on these lanes, and therefore we'd like a response of either reinstating the blocks or advice on what's going to be done to remedy and come up with a permanent solution. But I think we should, rather than, I know it's tempting to put everything in one letter, but I feel actually if we sort of pick off each thing
With specific
requests, then I think it's easier to get a clearer response on each area.
I think I suppose we could say that we've had an unprecedented response to the public.
Sorry, Andy, did you wish to?
Yeah, just Cheesegate now, Scalegate. These closure orders and what they've done, it doesn't make any sense. I've worked in rights of way for 30 years professionally and as a volunteer. They've taken these orders off when they were meant to run until about October.
Yeah, ours was October.
There's no reason why. It doesn't make any sense to cause all this problem with residents and everyone else. They could have left it until October. It makes no sense procedurally what they've done. It's, they've created more work for themselves by removing these blocks and the orders than just leaving it. So there's something that we don't know about, some reason why they've done this. It doesn't make any sense really. And the answer isn't another temporary closure, it's a permanent public space protection order or a traffic regulation order, but you might have to put a temporary one in that leads up to that. It needs to think it through really, don't they? Because we want these vehicles and the antisocial behaviour off there really, and the damage that they do.
Yeah, there was a gentleman who dealt with it previously to Diane, who worked for the council called Rob, and he was really proactive in getting it shut down. But he did say to me, we've got a problem. Of course, there were council members who were former drivers. and it strikes me as being a really quick, right, we've taken them away and they've all gone, for that not to be true. I mean, there's nothing you can do about that. I guess everybody's got equal public rights to object to whatever they want to object to, whether they're in the council or not. But they will have, you know, immediate access to the fact that, yeah, things are happening. I was told by Graham West, who's the head of highways, that he had received a letter from a member of the public, and therefore they had to take the concrete box away. But like you were saying, I mean, yours weren't up the full length of time,
They
were they?
weren't, no, and Kirklees are saying that they've repaired them and they haven't. They're saying that the road, that blocking the road is illegal, but it's not technically a blocked road, it's blocked for a reason, it's not like a fallen tree. And that there has been no antisocial behaviour. For me personally, I've had 3 years of the most horrific antisocial behaviour. I find it difficult to talk about without getting upset. Actually, I would say now I'm at the point where I probably got post-traumatic stress, it's been that bad. So to make a comment like that, this you know, it's really, really bad. I know we're in quite a civilised environment here, but the behaviour that I'm sure the lady here's experience has been absolutely horrific, and it's week in, week out, year in, year out, living next to these lanes.
Thank you. Thanks.
Well, I'm sorry, I don't know what the procedures are in this kind of environment. If I'm breaking the rules, I apologise. It's just really upset.
No, it's absolutely fine. Andy?
Yeah, I mean, I take Councillor Hobley's view about separating these, but I do think there's this common theme through them, and to me it's a lack of any sort of strategy for dealing with these. And I think if you had some sort of strategy and policy in place from Kirklees that maybe says, when we have a problem with a lane, whenever it is, this is what we do. Initially we put a temporary TRO on, while that's on we do a PSPO and close it permanently. There's nothing in place for that. It's just really hit and miss. So Scaligate and Cheesegate now have temporary TROs, which are now being removed. Ramsden Road is allegedly going to have a PSPO, but they seem to be making a mess of that as well. And some of the lanes haven't got anything. So my thoughts would be along the lines of, can we get a representative from Kirklees to sit with ourselves and perhaps the Kirklees councillors and try and get to some sort of strategy, some sort of policy that says this is how we deal with it.
Thank you.
Yes, I heard from Sally last week. Well, we've had a lot of correspondence over the last 6 to 9 months, year or so. Anyway, it got better once the blocks got put in place, and now the blocks have gone very quickly and suddenly. So,
It's a courier.
so yeah, I'm a regular. I was a regular walker on Tuesday now for many years until the dog got too old to walk up there. So we took it even easier routes. And over the years, you did see it decline, like the amount of erosion caused by the vehicles and damage that they were doing, the exposed cables which are still there, which haven't been repaired. There's other repairs which are still not being done. And I walked up there yesterday and I was quite surprised and a bit shocked that there would be no before over the weekend, because I thought once the blocks were gone somebody would know immediately and then they'd be coming down there again, but there wasn't any. But it's just a matter of days, isn't it? It's a matter of days before they're back and causing more problems, causing more damage. And I've emailed the ward councillors about it. They've come back to us about it, but there's not much more they can do to get another temporary closure in by the sounds of it. They're saying, talking about a full-time closure being the possible solution, and they've asked Sally and yourself if you can keep a log of these antisocial behaviour details and things like that, and that's the only way we can try and get something like this done by the police. That's what the ward councillors are saying, and it's not good. I don't know what the solution is. I don't know if there's another way around it, if we can get another TTR. I don't know if we can get another one of them in, if we explain to them that there's still repairs to be done and things like that. It's really difficult, isn't it?
Right, I think perhaps we in view of the time, we probably need to go. So Andy's put forward a proposal here, which is that rather than writing yet more emails and really being indefatigable in trying to pursue this through email, but it's been frustrating to say the least. So there's a proposal from Andy that we set up a meeting between the three Home Valley South, Kirklees councils and council officers, so that they can, at least can explain what their rationale is to us. Would somebody, anybody want to second that? Yeah. Okay, seconded. Can we vote on that then? All those in favour? So we'll attempt to move forward in a slightly different way, but obviously any information you can give us, it would be really helpful.
Chair, can I just, I'm all for having a meeting and talking about it, but I don't see why we can't also contact them with specific issues.
We can do that. Yes.
Because otherwise there's a danger that that meeting ends up with them saying, oh, we didn't know that's what it was.
Yes, we can do that.
We should do both.
We can do that.
I've got emails, Rich, from Sally, which, if it's okay with Sally, I can forward on to you with the details and about everything. Yeah.
Yeah, I sent some details from the CLA. They've got a sort of way of dealing with this, and so have Airwash County Council. And there's a lady there whose telephone number I've got, if anybody wants it. Sent that to all three of the councils and suggested a meeting with the three of them and Graham West and a police representative across. I know you've had this as well, haven't you? We're told to contact the police. By the time the police get there, they've no chance. The guys have gone. I mean, they've cut our fences, they've put concrete blocks to stop these people going on our land, and they just move them. It's all part of the fun for them. You can look online and you can see videos of them. They have a website where they put their most horrific travels down Cheesegate Knapsack, and they are mental. They're absolutely mental. I mean, we've had people drive motorbikes directly at us because they're putting signage up to say don't park.
Thank you, thanks. Yeah. So any information you can give us.
Do you want it sent
formulate.
to you? I mean,
Send them to Rich.
Yeah. I'll give you, I'll
It will come to us
Yeah.
via Rich, but
Yeah.
we can collate it and sort it.
Thank you. So thank you very much for coming and sharing all that with us. Right. So so Ian, you spoke about the obviously the application that we still don't have. But we have got item 169. We've got Inchcliffe Mill access concerns about the impact of the traffic, and so we will discuss that when we get to that point. So can we move on now to the planning application? So it's first of all we'll take the
Chair, do we not want to cover the Cartworth Moor Road specifically?
Yeah, it's a different.
yes, can do. Yes.
Well, I was going to suggest for that one, I mean, it could still obviously be referenced in the meeting that will be arranged, because we have to cover all these issues, but I mean, I think we should contact the council and say we welcome the fact that the planning application was turned down, because that was one we said objected to, but express concern at the conditioning of the track and
if-
Lena was saying about the the way in which it should be repaired should be appropriate in terms of recognising its usage for recreational purposes. Because clearly, if it's full of big bits of brick and stuff, not only potentially does it look aesthetically horrible on the environment, but also it's very uncomfortable for people to walk or cycle or horse ride there. So I would suggest we pen a letter to that effect.
That would be brilliant.
Yeah.
That would be great. We appreciate it.
So I'll second that one.
Yeah.
Fine. Thank you.
Right. I was was intending to go back through these when we got there, but that's fine.
So I just thought that would be
Yeah,
the way
okay,
it
that's
goes.
Well, it means people can go if they don't want to sit through all the
yes, absolutely.
applications for extensions and things.
Yeah.
Right, so, okay, any councillors, anything else to, want to make any comments on? Anything else, can we move it off Tuesday now? Right, so we look at the monopole. So number 16 on our planning application list. Well, we've already had, well, certainly Councillor Hogg certainly had correspondence about this, pointing out, in fact, many of the things that were raised. So yes. So anybody, any councillors comment?
People have comments from before. I think we sent it because we had a prior notification, didn't we?
We had
and
a
then we wrote a
notification,
response.
yes,
to
and
that.
you responded.
So I think you
yeah.
echo what was
Yeah.
in that, which was really about sizing me completely inappropriate,
Yeah.
far too tall. Well, A, it's in the conservation area. B, frankly, if you're going to put it on a high structure, there are mill chimneys and other similar things where it would seem sensible to put them. And it's it would dominate the street scene, which goes against the neighbourhood development plan and the landscape character assessment, and all those good things. So it's completely inappropriate location, and they need to think again.
Absolutely, and Kirklees Highways have objected to the location as well. So yeah, I think it's pretty comprehensive. I think you're aware that this is going. So, any other councillors wish to comment?
I mean, there's no attempt to disguise it, is there?
No.
I know we've talked about this before, haven't we, with the last one, where they can be disguised, can't they? They can be made to look like trees or something, but just no attempt at all.
And it's a narrow pavement, as we've already heard as well. And then the cabinet, by the time we've got the cabinets on it, it'll be
Totally
possible.
inappropriate.
Yeah, totally inappropriate. So we're suggesting we're going to oppose this.
Yeah.
Are people happy with that? Yeah, oppose that one.
It's a
Okay.
pity you can't find a local farmer that takes a payment for having it on his land. I remember when the first mobile phones came out, there was a farm at Millhouse Green where the farmer actually built a folly on his land to house a phone mast. You might just find one that's amenable to that.
It's
Well,
a
the
bit
farmer's
of a
quite
folly,
decent.
17 metres.
Well, a tree, I don't know
Tall for, I bet it's
Sorry.
tall for it.
some sort of disguise could be built. I think
It's
some
probably
of the
got
local mill
gluing-
chimneys might be
gluing
in
twigs on it.
need of repair. There's trees growing out of the one at front mill.
Thank you. Right, let's look at application number 20, which is a detached dwelling, Fernbank, Far End Lane, Homley, which has become an old friend. We had this one before, haven't we? And we're pretty comprehensive in rejecting it. So, do you want to speak?
No, I mean, we made comments before. I don't see any substantial shift in what we're suggesting.
Review based on the same comments before. There's nothing new that's been added in this document that I think is about what was in before. So, yeah.
That's that from the Climate
There was a
Mitigation
climate,
Statement.
there was a climate mitigation.
Yeah, there is a climate mitigation statement, but there is a section, question 7 in there that says refer to the ecological assessment,
And that in your
and that
contract,
isn't provided. Well, it's not online, is it?
that isn't there.
I mean, there is already a concern being raised during the consultation process about ensuring safety on the very steep bit and its appropriateness for building dwellings anyway, being raised by Kirklees people, so that helps.
Although there's a climate mitigation statement, I mean, it's feeble, isn't it?
It's feeble. It is
It
feeble.
doesn't
It's going through the motions.
It's very feeble.
So inadequate
Inadequate.
mitigation.
Inadequate climate mitigation statement. And then I think most of the objections that we raised last time as well. So, right, so we suggest that we're going to, we'll object to this. Just all those in favour? Okay?
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome to, sorry.
Leave.
just dealing with general,
Yeah.
You're now going to be sitting through every application for a normal window.
I don't think we can contribute. Thank you very much.
Feel free to come back on it when
And it's on the agenda.
You might get a coach load next time.
Thank you so much.
If you're bringing a coach loan, warn us, because we'll need to hire a
We'll
room.
hang this one. This one goes to, nice and warm there. Right, thank you.
Thanks. Right, back to the agenda. So, item 161, completed KP's planning applications list.
No, completed ones.
Completed ones, yeah. Okay, can we note it?
Yeah.
Please, yeah. Thank you. And then, look at our new planning applications. Right. Not very many of them, and some of them duplicates, so not actually so
Some
many
of them, there's
yeah.
at least two where it's the same
altogether.
place.
Yeah. So number one's been withdrawn anyway, so we're not going to look at that one. Number two is the replacement porch in the conservation area, and it's your patch.
Yeah, I mean, to me,
It's one you're looking after.
it looked alright, but this is a conservation area, and I guess, you know, the conservation officer's going to have the final say on this. I mean, it's quite a sensitive area, isn't it? Just a really nice building. That one. So clearly, it wants to do right, doesn't it?
Yeah. So you defer to
Support the
conservation
conservation
officer.
officer,
Yeah. Right, and the next one is Chris, I think, which is air source heat pump, listed building in a
3 and 4 are
conservation area.
both the same.
I don't have the skills on the list to say whether or not it should be acceptable.
Yeah.
It looks like
Yeah.
quite a small box at the back of the building, but I'm sure Kirklees Conservation Officer will have an expert review.
Yeah, so we defer
I
again.
mean, it's also listed as well, isn't it?
Yeah,
As well.
it's to building too, so. And then
I
there's,
think
I mean, I think we should support it in principle,
Yes.
to be honest. I really do think we should. They're doing the right thing.
Can we support number 3 and defer to listed buildings?
Defer number 4, yes, support 3
Okay.
and defer 4.
When you read the comments from the neighbours, it looks as though they've not gone about it in a very...
Yeah, people are often very clumsy, aren't
Yeah.
they?
right, okay, so number 5, extension and alterations of Victoria Springs. Andy?
Right, yes. Quite a big extension this. Old shape as well, isn't it? The materials all match what's there. I couldn't really find anything specifically wrong other than it's quite a big extension, but there haven't been any objections, so
I thought it looked okay. Yeah, Molly, looked okay with support? And the next one, change of your first floor flat to offices within a conservation area, perhaps?
I've got no objection whatever to this. I mean, I know we don't want to reduce the number of dwellings, but, you know, it's above their office and everything, so. Yes, they're moving next door, aren't they? They're moving over next door, but
It's also
they're a valued business in the village, so
support, yeah.
Yeah.
Long-term
Yeah.
future.
with a very long-term future. They'll outlive us all.
Security of,
Yeah. Well, that'll always be in business. Right. Number 7, 2-storey rear extension. This is already a very messy kind of building, but it's not close to anything else, this one. So, Andy, any?
No, all the materials matches. This couldn't really find anything particular other than that it looks as though they should have done a bat survey. And I think the officers commented on that, haven't they?
Yeah.
So,
Yes,
subject to
yes.
that
Subject, subject to the BAT survey, I'm happy with that. Oh, this is a bit like the Andy show, isn't it, on this page? A new fills, number 8, an infill single story front and rear extensions. I don't know. I thought anybody, any ideas about them? Andy again?
Oh, it looked fine.
Fine. Yeah, me too. Okay, support. Right. Numbers 9 and 10 will go together. Tom, well, I assume he's going to talk to the member of the public, so I'll come back to those. Number 11.
Yes. This is the holiday let on the farm, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess there is no planning reason not to have a holiday let, is there? And I guess it helps support a farm, it helps diversify.
Helps the local economy.
Materials seem to be in keeping with what's there, that's stone built. There are some conditions I think that Kirklees have already highlighted, but other than that I thought probably support it.
Yeah, okay. Thoughts?
I support the principle. I suppose maybe I didn't read it in enough detail. I've written down that I didn't think they commented on any climate measures with the design, unless I missed it.
No, you're quite right.
I wasn't quite clear on how the footprints are relative to what was there before, but the principle I'm fine with. So.
I think you're right about the climate. It's a new building.
Should we support
We should put
Yeah, so if it's a new build, yeah.
Yeah. New climate. Right, now the next one, number 12, I think there's already, this one has already had a positive decision. I don't know what
Yeah,
you think.
I went up there and was
Yeah.
trapped outside and the
Yeah.
farmer guy came out of the word with me and he said, oh, it's been granted.
Yeah, yes.
And they've got loads of barns and one of them's slightly bigger, so.
It shouldn't have been on, it shouldn't have been on there, so prior approval wasn't required apparently, so we don't need to discuss that one because it's already been approved.
I didn't quite understand what it was about. Are they saying it was just a permitted development then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they didn't.
They've written to say you've got approval.
You've got approval, yes, and it's in the green belt, actually, but
But it's a farm. And it's a
It's a
farm
farm.
building. I mean, you have to be able to build farm buildings, even in green belts.
yes, I'm anyway, we don't need to discuss it. Number 13 is a duplicate with number, it's exactly the same at number 18, the 2 detached dwellings. It's Tom again. Okay, I'll wait till it comes back. Number 14.
Well, it's listed buildings, so we usually defer. I can't see anything to object to.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it looks like. So are we going to defer? Is this a building consent? Yeah.
I like the style of the architect's reports. There were a couple that were like that with the kind of, I don't know, the slightly smudged diagrams that showed the flow of people around their houses and stuff. I don't know, it's good. You know, sometimes plans are difficult to fathom.
Yeah.
These sort of really kind of took me through the story. This is what it's like, and this is what it's going to be like, and this is what, and I just thought it was quite easy to skim and get the idea of what it was trying to do.
The full view then.
Yeah.
Yeah, they kind of stand out, don't they, when somebody does something rather different.
And I think that there seem to be, I mean, my impression is from the plans we see, there are two schools of designers and architects. There are the ones that want to blind you with science and just show up every measurement and ridiculous, and ones like that who think, You know what, this might go through easier if they can understand what we want to do.
Yeah, just a picture.
They're not just going to nod it through because they don't understand.
Right, number 15, Chris, 2-storey side and single-storey rear extension.
So it's already a big property.
It is.
It's well away from the main road, I think, but not really overlooked. No neighbour objections. Probably overlooked better than the conservatory and the pool.
Yes,
to be honest.
probably.
And it'll probably be more energy efficient.
Yeah, so we're supporting that
Yes.
one. Yep, thanks, okay.
I have to say I didn't like it.
That's, I hate to say this, that's
I'm still going to say it anyway.
Don't stop you saying it.
Huge windows and a flat roof.
glass feature.
It's all about where it is though.
Yeah.
See it.
That's right.
Yes.
Number 16 is the monopole, which we've already agreed to oppose.
Can I just comment one thing I thought was interesting for that?
Yeah,
Was,
about the monopole.
yeah, but the I think it was Councillor Crook, at least, who made a comment about the Thorns Bridge one being refused. Is that the one that was outside the high school?
Yeah.
No, so I didn't read it.
I didn't know it has been refused.
Do we know if it's been maybe knows, but is it being sort of considered for a new location somewhere?
Are they just not, are they going to live with no reception in that area or whatever?
I just thought it was interesting that had been refused, because I remember people coming and
Isn't this one of these situations where they'll just go to appeal and then get it? Because the government's not got all these through them.
been refused in other places, national parks.
Not always. It does
The
happen,
fact
but
that
not
it's a
always.
conservation area should have some consideration.
I'm amazed they don't move them to right on the edge of the conservation
Yeah,
area.
looking at those green lines on there, you wouldn't have to move it far, would you?
Yes, they're a bit slow-witted sometimes, aren't they?
Well,
Not that I want them to think of these things, but
There's very well thought onto it because Kirklees Highways injected it. You would have thought the first people you're going to ask about something. If you're going to point something on the highway, it's Kirklees Highways. You came and putting this here. If they say no straight away, you think they wouldn't go into all this effort.
I think
Strange.
they're just lazy, aren't they?
I think they are. I think they want them on the
Everybody
side of
wants
the
things
main road with easy access for maintenance, and that seems to be what they go for, and that's where you all over the.
Well, it would be the optimum spacing to minimise the number of posts as well.
It's not too
Yeah,
facing,
they
but they
don't-
don't look in the area though. They just put a pin on the map in it.
yeah,
That's it.
they'll put them where they like the
I keep
line.
spotting them now and
Yeah.
going, oh, well, it's not very nice just in this particular part of wherever I am.
Yes.
So,
And then they live with the ones they get through and they're diddling around, they do that for us.
You want for me to come back?
Tom,
Yeah.
we need to.
Sorry about that.
It's all right, we're going to come back to you.
So we're going to come back first of all to numbers 9 and 10, which is car farm, which is the building consent.
Yeah.
So just
I've had a look at these and the plans weren't very good. You don't really get a before and after. You can't see much changes unless the changes is really quite small. And it's a small extension, I think, small story extension. The space there, and I think subject to listed buildings and conservation area, I think it's okay.
do we want to defer one of them to Curtis and
Yeah, the listed
one of
building
them
one
to
we can
building
defer
consent.
Yeah.
support the
Defer
other one.
and support.
Yeah,
I couldn't see much change.
No, I wasn't sure if the plans just weren't very good or it was a bit basic.
There's such a variety of plans, aren't there? Just doing it in a different way. Yeah. And then there's number 13, Tom, which is two detached dwellings at Green Hill.
Yeah, I'm okay to speak on this one now because my old house was just below it.
Ah, right.
But the sale of my house went through 2 weeks ago, so it's updated my interest actually. According to my interest, I probably shouldn't speak about this one, but I can do because it's not my interest anymore. But I think I don't like them. They're not very nice. I've said this before, but they don't fit in. They're not in keeping. They're not keeping with the area, and there's issues with overlooking. I was contacted by people who lived below before, and I don't think they changed the configuration of the windows. There ought to be less windows that go out to the bottom, but I think there's issues with overlooking. They're not in keeping. And I think there's also potential issues with the highway there as well, because the road is extremely narrow. And cars do come down that road too fast, and there's not much visibility for when you're walking up the brow of the hill up there. There's not much visibility, and it's not great. I know about this from having lived there for a number of years. So I would suggest refusing it on the basis.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, we don't say no to all modern designs, but I just thought this was just I just thought this was a really clumsy collection of boxes, just kind of jammed together. It didn't have any beauty.
There were some plans that went in before. You wouldn't remember these, about 3 or 4 years ago, and I think maybe in the previous council, I think they're trying to, the planning's expired, or they're trying to change it around. But the plans they had before, they were quite futuristic looking, and they were better than they look now. They actually had a bit more style about them. Now they kind of look a bit cheap and rubbish. I think a bit weird. I don't think they get them.
They say somewhere, don't they, that the applications run out and therefore they're putting
Yes,
it in.
that they have.
I mean, I think it's been really lazy. They just seem to have said,
Just put
the same thing, it'll be alright.
Well, it's a shame if they had an interesting modern design before, and then they've gone backwards to a boring lump of modern.
But I think they did the thing where, do you know, like some of these developers where they try to start building it before it expires, so they can start building it. Because they took down a load of trees at the side of the road there, and a few other bits which were there as well. And basically it was like an overgrown field before, and they just gone in with like a bulldozer or whatever, and just cut off all these old bushes and all these overgrown bits like that, but it just got all overgrown. And well, that were about Christmas about 2 or 3 years ago, when I was at my own house, because my missus used to like walk up there every day. And then all of a sudden there's nothing on it since. So it's a bit weird, they just bulldozed it and cleared a lot of it, and then they just left it, so yeah.
Can we
oppose?
happy to oppose, but can we refer them to the neighbourhood development plan, which is the previous planning application?
Yeah.
That's appeared, and they all state there with the policies regarding landscape.
And there was no climate mitigation. There's no attempt to do anything different.
There was nothing about materials either, that I could see anyway.
It looked like a sort of car park.
Yeah, because it's got flat roof levels to it, hasn't it, as well?
There's some stylish modern designs, like in the old sort of corners of the, whichever. There are options.
It's a terrific site as well. I mean, you could put some really interesting in there, but yeah.
Just on car parking, I mean, I wonder whether it's worth making the point that perhaps there ought to be like a visitors car parking area. I think someone said in one of the objections that, okay, there are 2 places per house, but as soon as you get
a visitor,
they're on the road, which is far too narrow.
It's really narrow, like, you know, you couldn't, it wouldn't be good having cars parked there, and you might get a meeting where just try and go up on the pavement or something like that, which then, it's not good for them trying to push a pushchair or pram up there at the moment. I've done that before. And the path does get really narrow. It gets really narrow. It's like it's only a single person at the moment. And if it was any wider, I suppose, then the road would be worse. Yeah, it's not great.
Okay, number 17 is stone, greenbelt. Erection of agricultural buildings. Some way away from that. You know, that wonderful terrace that they've got there from the old barn now. So I thought this was okay. I don't know if anybody else thought about it.
I looked at it and
So it's a very, again, there's an awful lot of information about.
It seems to be a lot of thought that gone into that, how to make it work for the farm and work for the environment.
So support number 17. Number 18 is a duplicate 13. Number 19 is workshop.
I thought we should just leave that to listed buildings.
Okay.
See
Yeah, okay. Number 20 we've objected to. And 21 advertisement consent. It took me a while to realise. I think this is just for something that's going to stick out, isn't it? Hanging on the side, not yeah.
Is it on the side of the building?
Yes. Yeah.
But most
Very
businesses along Victoria Street got those, isn't it? Hanging signs, occasions.
It's very tasteful.
It's lovely. It
No,
looks
it's
like
not.
it's a really good
It's
location.
a sign.
But the whole frontage of that new, because it was the Herod Hughes thing that was round the corner.
It's really, yeah.
It make the most of what's a very
I thought you
attractive
could do as an exemplar if we ever get around to doing the street. Yeah.
The support.
Yeah. So we support that, Rachel?
Yeah. Sorry, it's actually an Andy's side of the road.
Yeah.
No, I think it's exceptionally good. I like the colour, that's great. Finally, the
It's funny one, isn't it, this, because apparently they built this barn without permission, then got the suspected permission, now they want to take it back down again.
Different owners though.
Yeah, it doesn't actually seem to be making things better, do it? And I don't think there are any issues there.
No.
I mean, we might have an issue when they relocate the one that is tall, but we'll see when we get to it.
Cross that bridge when we come to it.
I was really glad to see, because my thought really was, what are they going to do with the old barn? How wasteful is that? And then I saw they're recycling the old barn. So support?
Yeah.
Support?
Big enough.
Yeah. That was quick. Quicker than usual. Right, back to the agenda. Kirklees Council Planning Officer's decisions. Anybody noted? Anybody want to comment on any of them? There wasn't much disagreement, I thought.
We were in stats this time.
As we're getting better. Yeah, okay, noted?
Yeah.
Thank you. Right, moving on to 164, neighbourhood planning and reviewing parish council actions. These lists get longer and longer, don't they? Right, so, conservation area awareness. So Richard emailed Helen Bauer. Any jokes to report?
No, I've got no
You have nothing
response.
to report.
I will chase her again.
Thank you. Right.
She was happy to have a phone call, but once it translated
when it
into having to
came
go somewhere, it
Yeah.
became non-responsive.
I know they're really busy, but actually getting in a room with somebody, it just makes a world of difference,
does,
doesn't it? You
yeah.
find that when we're doing Zoom,
Is there any other kind of training available, like in relation to that subject? Conservation, awareness of the laws to do with conservation.
Yeah, I mean, the various planning training comes up. You just keep an eye out for the planning lists that come through. There's some sort of more specialist training.
Yeah.
Well, you've done some training already, but there's more specialist training.
I didn't know I didn't do one. Mine's about almost the last house in the I didn't know till you put it on the village Facebook page.
Oh, there you go. So, yeah.
Most classic winners.
So don't do anything terrible with that.
Yeah, you have to stop cutting down them trees that you went mad at.
All that rare forest I had at the back. I'm not even sure if the back is in the conservation area.
Right.
It's too late.
Probably is.
You said it now.
Okay, Lord's Mill. Yes. So Councillor East said he would keep an eye on the state of the mill, which is really lovely.
Councillor East may not be a councillor after May though.
He might still keep an eye on it.
He might keep an eye, we'll delegate it.
Yes.
Okay, community champion.
So can we just note that then?
Yeah.
There we go. Traffic calming, right. Consider any further action about relevant to potential procurement of the mobile SID. I thought this was a really positive move to actually be doing something with the Kirklees councillors. So we've £7,000, haven't we, left in that? Yeah. And the cost was approximately half that. Is that right? Yeah.
There's also this suggestion from Councillor
There
Reeves,
is
isn't
the
there?
Reeves as well. Yeah.
I think Mission Creek is no
Mission
longer.
Creek. Oh, I think we worried about Mission Creek. I don't know.
now we can get something out of it.
One thing that occurred to me is that these SIDS are managed by the councillors. So I mean, ideally it'd be best if we could move it across from Home Valley North to Home Valley South. But I don't know whether that's going to cause problems. But anyway, that's for them to. That's probably for them to sort out. But I am wary of that we are doing too much for the kind of the Home Valley South part of the parish council and neglecting Honley and areas around there.
Well, Rockwell's, I think, possibly suffers more than Central Honley from speeding traffic.
So does anybody, any comments on the possibility of purchasing a mobile speeding?
Is it a SID or could we afford two then? I know we've had the figures somewhere.
Well,
One for Home Valley North and one for Home Valley South.
Well, I'm just
Yeah.
thinking it will give you that ability.
Well, not if we decide to buy some of these strange things.
Kiddie cutouts.
Kiddie cutouts, yeah.
Where do you put them?
I think they go on the pavement, don't they?
Yeah, it's quite small.
But like, are they like against like a wall, or are they against something?
No, I
like
think
that? I'm just trying to think of like.
I think on the pavement. I've seen them in Sheffield, but not quite.
Right, so right on the edge of the pavement then. So trying to get people trying to walk through there, push there.
It's not wonderful.
Don't they go on the road where you would otherwise park? Isn't that the idea? So it's sort of people
We've
parking.
got a link
I
here.
don't think
Well,
probably
they just show
got
you
more
what they
information
look like.
than we could possibly
Hello?
think.
Oh, there's still things,
Can I just,
Yeah, sorry.
we sort of need to look at all three items together, don't we? Because there's the kind of, there's a potential SID, but there's also something about a contribution towards the extension of the 20-mile-an-hour zone.
Yes, yeah.
Oak Lane.
Lane, which I'm not quite sure, that's sort of a bit vague as to what that extends, how far that extends and quite what that means. That feels a bit like just throwing some money into something which is
Well, yeah,
probably
it's only-
otherwise going to happen.
And it's only in principle. They're not actually. They don't want the money yet. It's an in principle thing.
I mean, what was our budget for next year?
But Kirklees would have to do that anyway.
Well, you'd have thought so, yeah.
That's not within our.
But I think one of the things we need to think about is how much we actively want to be managing this. Because if we contribute to a SID, we're basically saying, right, well, are we saying, here we are, ward councillors, we're going to give some money so that an extra one can be put in, but are we also saying, we want to say where it's going, in which case we need to give a bit of consideration as to what that post goes on, because if we choose a concrete one, well, we just won't choose a concrete one, because it'll cost a lot more. And then of course there's an annual commitment to how often it moves and costs that go with that, which is fine. But then similarly, if we bought the cones, I'm not quite clear who then looks after the cones and uses them. Is it school staff who are expected to go out? Because I know in practice, I mean a while ago when I know up Thorn School trying to find somebody who was willing to be the street crossing patrol or lollipop person. And they couldn't find anybody to do it. And I'm not sure you're
It's a
going to
cold,
find.
miserable job.
Yeah, but I think in the end, unless you get a group of volunteer parents to help you probably find there isn't anybody who actually will go out and put the cones out. So it feels to me like a conversation would need to be had with the school that's being offered them in advance of them saying, actually, this is how much it costs, this is how many cones we need. Because otherwise, if whoever rocks up with 10 cones and says, hello, rock on school, we've heard you want to. But I just think it needs a little bit, I'm not averse to the idea of cones and whatever, but I think it needs a little bit more thinking about in terms of the discussion with the appropriate school. And it's quite appealing, the fact that you could trial something at one school and then maybe move those cones to a different one, if it was about raising awareness of safety.
And it might be that awareness, you might be able to rotate. Could you drive awareness up? It's okay for a while, you can send it to another school and it comes back because they're slipping again. I mean, you know, you can.
Which is the way SIDS work, in that you notice it and then it's gone, and then it comes back.
And then it comes back.
I mean, this is different from the SIDS, because for the SIDS there's a recognised way of administrating managing that. So I mean, we could say yes to that, and then we've got no more issues or questions really. But rich. I mean, we need more information about how this is going to be managed and what is the responsibility of the schools. Maybe we could ask Councillor Greeley and give us more.
I think when I read through it, didn't it say something about the schools have effectively got to have bought into this?
Well, you'd have thought so.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
They gave it a name, I think.
Mm.
So the schools that take part in this.
What?
I'm sorry, it's a while since I read it.
Yes,
I'm
well, we don't know, do we? We just.
I'm sure there was something that said the schools had to partake in this and then they would use them. So if the schools haven't taken part in that scheme, then they're not going to want them anywhere.
No, we need to
It's
be.
a bit chicken and egg, isn't it? Which schools are actually?
Mode shift.
We need to be
Sorry?
sure.
Mode shift program.
Yeah.
Mm.
So which schools have actually?
We need to do more research into this, don't we?
Yeah.
I think,
If you find there's only one school in the area, then it's a bit of a dead duck.
but if you ask like about all schools, like Heckle School years ago, there was issues there with cars going too fast and problems like that. I hear about it now with Wardale Infant, the junior school, sorry, the top end of the estate where I live, at the bottom end where kids go home, it's not too bad. But the top bit where there's a lot more parked cars, there's more problem up there. So it's, I think it's an issue for all schools. So if you said to them like about this campaign, would you be interested in doing it? And I'm sure they would be willing to do it.
But I mean, it's saying not only are you interested in doing it, but are you going to have a member of staff who'll go out and if they get damaged to, you know, bring them in at night and take them out again in the morning, because they're very desirable and they'll get pinched if you just leave them.
There's a reference in Charles Grieve's original email to Jen, which is about schools having been through the mode shift programme. So I don't know. I've not heard of that. I don't know what that is. I just think we need. I don't think we can't be in a position to agree to this tonight. I think we need more information from.
But we could only see.
It might be good for Charles to come and speak to us.
Yes.
He's come to planning committee meetings before when he's got issues in his ward and stuff like that. So he might not to do this free.
Yes,
And he could talk to us about the 20-mile an hour limit for Oaks Lane as well. Because I wouldn't be adverse to that. I don't think it is. We'd like to know what money's being spent on.
No, we want just a bit more information than just what we've got already.
It's good. It's a couple of ideas, yeah, but a bit more detail.
Do we want to defer making a decision about the use of all of the money, or do we want to make a decision now about purchasing
To buy one seed.
one seed? In principle,
If we did buy a seed, do we have a sense of where we would wish to put it? From the work that was done before in terms of.
I'm sure we can certainly suggest somewhere, can't we?
Because the place
where there isn't one, which I know always crops up, is through the entry of Mill, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that doesn't
I think
have
that,
one.
yes.
That's what I was
Whereas
thinking.
Greenville Road has one, the Dartford Road has one, the Station Road has one. We're talking about Hay Valley South, the key rips, that part of the Woodhead Road is the obvious one to put one in.
Yeah.
Now whether there are lampposts that have the fitting is another question.
What sort of lampposts do we need?
Well, ideally you want one that's got one of those, I don't know what they're called, the big blue plugs on, but like you'll see, if you look out on Victoria Street with the lampposts.
I mean, they're all the LED ones now, aren't they, Woodhead Road?
Yeah.
They put new posts up, didn't
Yeah.
they? Not that long ago.
Yeah, true.
So whether they're suitable, I don't know.
Because and perhaps it's best to do this through the wards councillors, as in the Kirklees ward councillors, say, you know, an area, if we were to contribute to the SIDS in the first instance, because it wouldn't be there permanently, because the idea is they move around, but one of the locations we like to do is the
Brockholes is one I
Interest
would nominate, because I
Yeah.
think they suffer from really quite bad speeding through there.
Well, there is a
They do
fixed
have-
speed camera there, isn't there?
There's two speed cameras in Brockholes on the main road.
Oh yeah, that's true, that's true.
But I wonder if we can ask that, because the ward councillors ought to be able to ask the street lighting team to advise which lighting columns in their High Valley South and High Valley North have either aren't concrete and therefore would be easy to use, or B, already have a plug socket on. Because it's not, because for the the one on the Greenfield Road, back in, I think it was 2015 or something, I got Kirklees to put the plug on that so that then that could become a SID destination too. But obviously, I think we probably need to buy an extra SID, otherwise, if a SID's only visiting once every 2 years for 3 months, then it doesn't make, it makes such a big difference.
It's something that we need to liaise with the ward councils about as well. They've got one and we've got one. We need to make sure we're quite strategic about where we put them.
Yes.
Quite clever about it. Rather than
Know
put
what
two-
we're
two
trying to
like-
achieve with them, not
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
to make residents happy or for people think, oh, well, that'll solve the problem. Oh, you know.
Yeah.
There is
I will say that the meeting we had with the ward councillors is probably, if not the best, one of the best meetings I've had with ward councillors at Kirklees about planning issues and stuff like that. It was constructive and we talked about things and actually it was good conversation. People weren't jumping in and things like that, and we made some progress, I think. So I think if we can keep on doing that and work together with them on the SIDs and things like that, I think it would be good.
I was going to say, there must be some national statistics saying these SIDs are of value. So therefore, we just need to get one. And in some respects, it doesn't matter where it is within our area. Wherever it is, it's out there. It's doing a job of improving road safety for people in our valley. So
there is
I would propose get one and get on with the planning.
There is a planned programme, well, according to council approval, there's a planned programme, and a new one would sort into that and be rotated.
But I don't understand, are we saying then that we are paying for a SID for Kirklees to use?
Yeah, they move it.
So we'd have no control over it, it would be...
No, well, I think that's the thing, we went back to them and said,
I think, yeah.
we
But
would like to nominate these areas for it to go.
More if we'd funded one and we had an issue saying we particularly want one in Inchliff
We
Mill,
want
for
it on
example,
Bradshaw
then
Road or
we
whatever.
would have a good case for saying,
Yes.
can you shift one to Inchliff Mill as a matter of priority? I would
I
say.
guess if we bought one, you would perhaps have 3 locations for it, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
And we'd rotate it around the house. So
Yeah.
it might be, you know, in Swift Mill,
Yeah, maybe Bradshaw Road, though it's recently got humped.
You know, it's not just one location, one camera, is it? It's,
No.
I guess 3 or 4.
Yes, I mean.
So they would erect it and move it, but at our direction.
If you're going to do it scientifically, you get some accident statistics from highways and put in where they're going to be most
Yeah,
beneficial.
exactly. Find out what they're best at. I mean, I don't know what they do best, these things. It may be that they're really good in rural areas that are like this, or urban areas that are like that. I don't know.
But we can, I'd say we can overthink it. It's just, I mean, because say this one on the Greenfield Road that was put in, my in-laws live very close and they can actually see it. And every time it's up, you know, it's all,
And they can tell the
but
difference.
they really tell the difference
Yeah.
because it means people suddenly, the first week that they're, because frankly, we always like to think, oh, all the people speeding are all like visitors. They're not. They're perpetual people who, you know, are amongst us all who drive too fast and they just forget. And it's particularly those gateways, if you like, where people are coming from.
I think there
60
are
mile
people
an hour.
who forget, and there are people who are going to do
And
it
it's a
whatever you
reminder,
put.
and I've had friends go, oh, yeah, I've just noticed that since so much, might be slow down a bit more before I get to school. And it's the fact that once it's there for too long, then people don't notice it anymore. And that's why they need to move. But I think we're best to say we've got these locations that we think, or these villages where we have a concern, that we need to say to them, well, that's where we'd like the SID to be.
Yeah.
But I think, to be honest, to some extent, we're handing it over to Kirklees to manage when
Well,
the
think,
program to move it, because they have
we
like a
don't-
schedule.
We don't have
Well,
the capacity to do.
No, I'm not suggesting we should manage it. I'm not about to shut up lampposts with a screwdriver.
You wouldn't get loud.
We're not having this said. Right, so, to
My
kind of,
understanding,
sorry.
just perhaps last point, is that they gather the data as well. So, does the Kirklees Council say that? Although they only display that, they actually gather the
We
data.
must get,
It's anonymous
oh, they
data.
collect the data, yeah.
Yeah, so you
And
get
then
to
we
find
would
out.
get, and we would get the data back.
Yeah.
Part of Mo Crook's email was that, that we get the data back.
taking your point, because you know that data will be there. It would say how many cars have been speeding, how many cars have been, etc., etc.
I suppose it was,
But
You can't do anything about it.
it's telling you what the speed is once you put it there. It's not
Yeah,
telling you
yeah.
what it was that
No.
justified you putting it there in the
Before
first
and
place.
after.
Yeah.
no, we're-
It's a really difficult one, but if it is slowing people down, and like Rachel's scientific experiment with her in-laws, no, that's really interesting. Though. It's really interesting. You can tell the difference when it's not there, and it's that's good enough for me.
I think sorry, just one final comment. It's just that the fact that you're remembering back to when former councillor Wilshaw was, whatever his name is, Tim, who used to be on the council. Because I remember him flagging up, there are different types of indicators, and I guess what we're saying is let's make use of what they typically use in Kirklees, because you can get the ones with smiley face, sad face, you can get, things that say, don't
Get
try.
some that
You
just
get
say
different
slow
ones.
down, as
Exactly,
opposed to
yeah.
29,
So,
28.
but I think it's better just going with what Kirklees Council, and it's simpler. The issue is we need to make sure that we're also feeding back from a parish council point of view to the population of the valley that actually we're spending some of the money that we raise on that, and it's not just always Kirklees.
Yes, yeah.
And if we can articulate that we've identified specific villages for
We
the first
could-
year
it
of
could be-
operation or whatever, I think we should be quite open with Kirklees.
It can be a
that
press
we want
release
some
for us.
credit for
Yeah.
it.
Yes, yeah.
So it's not just mopped into the budget.
Yeah, I
Thank you
agree.
very
I
much.
agree. It can be a press release for us saying the parish council has identified 3 particular areas. We'll have to make sure one of them's in
Yeah,
Rotherham.
well, on the basis of the stuff we've heard.
And
over the
that,
last few years.
it has purchased a seed to look at those areas.
Yeah, I think the thing with Home by South and Home by North is Home by South isn't the bigger part of the Home Valley
Yeah.
than Home by North is. So it's. I do think at times that Honley does get overlooked for stuff, and I'm very supportive of Honley and trying to get things for Honley as well, making sure they get them out right now to grant budget and various other things. But and they should do with this as well. So, but I think like if you say like 3 places for the first year, well we can talk about it later, can't we? But it was-
One in Home Valley North and 2 in Home Valley South.
So have we decided, just so we can make progress, we decided that in principle we will purchase
We'll buy
a
a
seed
seed.
out of that Manchester.
Yes.
That's one.
We're just
And
learning
then
about
the
what we're going to do with it.
Yes, we've got down to Mary,
previous.
we've got down to where you are on the road for putting it up.
And then secondly, we've decided that we will invite Councillor Greaves to come and talk to us and give us more information about the
All the other things.
renewable kidney signs and the other things that we don't really understand about the extending.
I mean, they are very cute, I'm
hours.
sure. Get
Yeah.
pinched. I'd be tempted to pinch one of those. They're lovely.
Why don't you put it in your garden?
I suppose so. Well, I'll probably pinch it and then think, why have I pinched that?
Yeah, can I just ask, because it's an earmark reserve, presumably we have to make a recommendation to full council.
Yes, I guess we do, yes.
Make that
Yeah.
payment, so would it make sense for, even if it's the chair and vice chair and deputy clerk, to look back at what the previous locations were that we'd identified in terms of
Yes.
Yes,
road
so
safety?
I
need
think
to
just
name the
And propose
locations.
that we're putting, it
Yes.
doesn't have to be that lamppost, but say
Yeah.
Hinchliffe Mill.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
Because otherwise, I think full council will end up having this conversation again. with
Yes.
full council.
Yeah.
Whereas at least if we
Only
say,
one
Yeah,
starting
good
with
idea,
Gambit,
yeah, that's
these
fine,
3.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, get it moving.
Good idea, yeah. Okay, can we move on? So that's, good to know, please. So the next, sub item really is that, we emailed Jason McCartney, inviting him to a meeting, and, yes, he would like to attend a meeting, so you've invited him.
And he was saying, during the week is difficult, but he isn't always in session, and we can be in session when he isn't.
Yeah, there's Easter break coming up soon, and we might have a meeting which coincides with that, so it might be alright for him to come in.
Yeah, I mean, I've just sent him our
Yeah.
our list of meetings, not just planning, but everything essentially.
Yes,
'cause it is-
yes, it's just,
And we have breaks too, but they're not as long as parliamentary ones.
Yeah, and I think people will probably come out and see him whenever a meeting, I suspect. So.
He's very, quite effusive, isn't he, in his email to you about,
Yes,
just got back from community meeting in Slough, yeah. So, excellent, so we'll check his diary, so that's all good.
That's good news.
Yeah, right, okay, and then to note the launch of the West Yorkshire Safety Camera Partnership Strategy, which is an extremely long document. I have to confess I didn't read all of it. Yes, but it's good, it's noted, it's good information, isn't it? Right, so...
one thing I would say was interesting, I didn't read it all in detail either, but there was something that was pulled out that said about having the ability to, it wasn't all driven by that kind of fatalities and accident data. There was an element which is now about community response, and I think it was about providing a van or a police presence. I can't remember what the outcome was, but there was something in there that was reflecting the fact that it isn't just about data-led, where there's a big accident, you put cameras in. Fixed cameras it was, but not for the... And I thought that was quite interesting, that there was a sort of shift to saying, well, actually, where the community has a concern, they will do the...
they'll do a bit of monitoring.
They'll do some monitoring to see whether it is a legitimate concern.
So I think that's really positive, because the response, whenever we raise something about dangerous junctions or something, the response is, well,
There's never been an accident
an
there.
accident here in the last 20 years, so
I think it was to be welcome.
that's a more intelligent approach, I would say. Okay, so we've noted that. Okay, move on to the Peak District National Park Authority. So we have two applications, and okay, so the first one is the garden room to the Holland Castle. Not much information on this, I thought, but Andy, thoughts?
Yeah, when you read the what Peak District put out, it says something about design should reflect the design of the main dwelling. It doesn't reflect the design of the main dwelling at all. It's just a wooden clad shed with big windows.
It's quite difficult for a garden.
What do you mean by reflect? You want it done with mirrors?
A tessellated roof, yeah, I think I don't know that.
It does look odd. Having said that, I guess no one else will see it when it is.
I thought inclined to support it, I don't know what. Yeah, nobody else thought it. So it's enclosed in high walls, isn't it? Nobody else is.
I have a feeling Peak Parks will oppose it anyway, on the basis of what we're saying.
They're pretty strict, aren't
They
they?
are pretty strict, but so support, you're going to support it?
Yep.
Yeah, okay, support, right, and then number 2, we're not
We're all abstaining.
no comment.
Dreadful thing.
I couldn't bring it, it wouldn't come up today when I was trying to look for it, so I was
It gets out, there was lots of documents.
there was a long list of documents, but it wouldn't, I couldn't get it to come up today, so, okay, that's that then. Right, ongoing highways campaigns, Safe from Magdale, can we, unless anybody has anything they want to say about the speed test?
Charles is already getting it in the neck from the local.
Oh, sorry, I've missed one. I've missed the second part of Peak District National Park Authority. Yes, membership of the Peak District National Park Authority. It's obviously quite a serious commitment, this, isn't it? Only a small part of our area is in the Peak District National Park, so I mean, I think it's good practice to nominate people. If it makes sense and you're being asked, but I don't know. What do you think?
Well, it's not until after May election anyway.
No,
is
it isn't. No.
Because
And it's a big commitment for a very titchy
they're talking about
part
up
of
to
the
5 meetings a month in Bay.
Yeah.
for this much of the valley, you know.
Am I right in saying it's the one that Trevor Bellamy's done?
Yeah. It's done it before. It requires a lot of travelling, meetings during the day to places like Bakewell and all over the Peak. So it's quite a big commitment.
Well, if he's elected again, do you think he'll want to carry on?
Well, we've normally suggested it be the role for the Norm Is it North Home Valley Ward? Is it North Valley?
Upper
Home
Valley.
Valley. Upper Home Valley. So, because the peak is within their ward, it would be a bit. I always thought it'd be a bit weird if I was to say put myself forward at Peak Parks. It's not my ward really. It's not my area. So I don't know. I think it's up to the people really. I think in Upper Home Valley Ward if they want to do it. Or if anybody else wants to do it, I suppose it's up to them really.
Yeah.
But it's quite a big commitment and to do it.
Yeah. I mean, we could just about do it, and it suggests because there's a very short time scale between the election of the new council and the nomination, but could just about do it by giving delegated powers to the clerk. But it's probably we really can't make a decision now.
Well, is it possible for us to ask to nominate later to say we don't know who the councillors will be then, and we could do with another month?
They say no, and they're very kind of fierce about it as well, aren't they? Saying it's central government, which is ridiculous. Central government.
It's impractical for us to nominate anybody this year and count it as in 12 months' time.
Yes.
Yeah.
We'll nominate somebody next year. Yeah.
I mean, there's quite a few lists, aren't there? I mean, if Councillor Bellamy is going to stand again, if Councillor Bellamy gets elected again, and if Councillor Bellamy wants to do it again, then it would make sense for him to do it, wouldn't it?
I don't think he is. I don't think that is what he's on. I think he's a member of the Peak Park Parishes Forum. I don't think he's a member of the actual.
No, I don't think
Peak
There's
Park.
no
So historically we've not had anybody on it like that.
We've got anybody on it at the moment.
Anyway,
It's a paid role, isn't it?
Yeah, I was thinking that.
I would have thought it's a paid role then.
On second thoughts on that, that's right.
Well, we'll all be competing for it.
I like the idea of it, but it's just,
Yeah.
it's quite a commitment
it's
by
a
the
huge
same.
commitment, isn't it? Yeah.
We don't have anyone playing this.
Right, shall we move on? Shall we just note that? And
I think it's something we have to pick up
it's something
ASAP when the new council is elected.
Right, so
And
now,
somebody will either want to or somebody won't.
move on to our ongoing highways campaign. So campaign for a safer Magdale.
Charles has posted the figures that Kirklees finally published on the Facebook page. And he's getting it in the neck.
Oh, is it?
Well, he's kind of become a bit of a hate figure on that Facebook page, sadly. And he's kind of reacting to it instead of just letting them kind of posting the next thing. He's kind of now doing things like, you always seem to be having a go, and so.
I think
The
we
data
should,
has been published.
Speed was never going to be an issue.
Should we note it?
Let's
No.
note it. They're interesting, aren't they? And they are pretty
I thought they
simple.
were quite
But
interesting.
it was kind of, it was kind of him to give us the
Thank Councillor Grace.
Councillor agrees.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. We can say if he comes to speak to us, we can tell him that, can't we? Right. Heritage Road intersection, the longish letter, wasn't it, which sent to Dean Barker, mostly about the public consultation, and thanks Rich, good letter.
I particularly like that it should not consist of masses of paper.
Yeah.
Quoting this committee.
There will be opposition, but anyway, so we've done what we can as a share our local knowledge. It'd be interesting to go to the consultation. Right. Moving on. Burnley Road closure. Anything?
It's closed.
It's still
I think there's some
closed.
trees seeded there.
You might not be a big for it.
When in Petersham, which is near Richmond, Surrey, there was a big hole in the road there, and it's a really busy commuter route and buses, and and of course it's very rich, and it's absolutely full of people who work in the media. And they, every year, the first year it got more publicity, but they made a birthday cake for the hole. And then all the press, all the nationals were there, and the residents ate slices of cake, and it was the Petersham Hole birthday cake.
That's what we need. That's we missed that, shouldn't it? It'd be a good thing to do.
Well, I think we were asked to sort of keep quiet, weren't we?
I
Yeah,
think so.
yeah.
Nothing
I don't know how long that's
Should we-
for.
should
But it can't be forever, can it?
Yeah.
This is the thing. How long do we, you know, how long before we get irritated by the fact that still nothing is happening? Because we've trusted them
we trusted when
that
we
things are
didn't
happening,
finish,
but
yeah.
how long of nothing happening?
I mean, the one at, which didn't close the road completely, but the one at getting towards Lockwood, where, you know, and then that went on, that was ages. I mean, it was my impression, I assume, it was insurance companies arguing with insurance companies.
Yeah.
I think
Which I assume this is as well.
Yes,
not quite. I think I read on Facebook somewhere that the talk is now that the insurance company will deal with the property owners retaining wall and Kirklees will deal with the
And Burnley Road.
roadside.
So the top and the bottom bit, isn't it?
Which is what they spent on 2 years ago.
yeah, and hoping the same thing doesn't develop on Cinder Hills Road, where,
We don't know, we probably shouldn't speculate.
That,
Yeah.
I can't remember who posted that.
yes, I think I've
Could it be
heard
more?
that, but I think it was long,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
we shouldn't
so-
really.
no,
But it's not
Yeah.
policy. Yes.
Shall we say nothing, just nothing new
Yeah.
to note at the moment? Right, Ramsden Road, which we had a bit of a toss around earlier on, is there anything else that we wish to, so we decided not only would we organise a meeting, but we'd also respond to the, again,
Continue to nag at them by letter.
Yes. Is there anything additional to what Roy just said anybody would want to put in a letter about Ramsden Road?
Just get
I mean,
please to clarify why they've made the decisions they made.
I have emailed Will again.
Yeah,
They've now, this PSPO, they've now installed the gates, but they haven't done the consultation. So we're in a silly situation now where if they do a consultation, they've almost preempted having that, haven't they? So quite rightly, I guess some of the 4x4 groups and motorcyclists could say, well, just a minute, why are you consulting with us when you put gates up? You've already decided what you're doing.
Got the gates, so at least we've got them.
The gates
We
are
want the
up,
gates, don't we?
they're locked up. And of course one of them doesn't allow one of the neighbours to get to their property.
Yeah, that's all your correspondence. It's,
Where are the gates?
You know where Ramsden car park is? And,
Oh, it's not. Okay.
So you can park in the car?
oh yeah,
Further.
you can't go any further.
What
Well,
about the other,
you can if it's, as it is now, it's locked up.
what about the other one?
There's one on, right at the end at Carters Moon Road end, and then there are two at the Holmos end. One on Holgate
So on those two.
Okay, okay.
Oh, that's good.
Right, so the action here is to send just another email, I presume, is it? And that,
I would like them to come and explain again,
yeah,
what are your thoughts?
Yes, I
on
think
that?
it
Why
needs
are you doing
to-
what you're doing?
yeah, I think these three issues, as you were saying before, need to be rolled up into one, and we need to actually see and try and understand their rationale. If they,
Because of course there are many more other than these sort of three. There
Yes.
are lots and lots of items. There's one the back of Ward Place, which regularly gets trashed.
It certainly looks as though they just constantly go around putting out fires rather than having
yeah.
a strategy of any sort.
Yes, I think that's right. And I think it needs something that says when
And you
there's a
can't
problem,
prevent
this is what we
everything,
do.
but some of them would be, you know, they know where the unmade roads are, and they can, you can look at them and think, well, 4x4s aren't going to come down here, but they would go, I mean, quad bikes. And
Is it worth sending another, still on Ramsden Road, is it worth sending another email? Yeah. Just restating,
Please get rid of gates, however, I understand there's some issues with access for legitimate use.
I think Andy's already sent that for you in.
it exists enclosure on one of them, and if this can provide that, but
Please outline the process by which these gates will then become a permanent deterrent.
I think the truth is, it's the end of the financial year.
And
so they've got someone in there.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think we should keep, seeking clarity on what their overall aim is.
Just drip on the stone.
Yeah.
And as gates, did they look effective?
They're alright, yeah. Depends what you mean by effective, they'll not stop. Certainly not stop a motorbike. They'll stop vehicles, yes. But ultimately nothing more than it. Some of these people.
It told in there as well though, that they can prosecute people if they do break their way into it, again, because they're breaking their own, so it does make it a bit of a difference, but whether they actually catch someone doing it because they're quite good in the middle of the night, so it's
I mean, all you can say is
one of those, isn't it?
when authorities have done this, it sort of solves 95% of the problem.
It's,
In which case we ought to thank them, really.
yeah, I think it's good at the moment. So yeah, I think it's
progress.
hopefully hopefully it's a solution.
No, I think Rachel's right. I mean, we're always writing to say, why have you done this one? And if they do something, we should write and say thank you for that.
Put some gadgets in.
They put some gadgets
Yeah.
We've done what we
Unfortunately, the bit that says we're going to now shut them hasn't happened.
Yeah, okay. Well, we can, but
And that might be another year away.
Well, we could ask for an update then, on what the plan is.
Yeah, we can do that.
Thank you for the
Thank you
gates.
for putting the
Thank you
dates.
for the
What's
gates.
what's the plan for managing their opening and closing?
Yeah.
then it's a more positive.
Yeah.
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 Oh, not them again.
Well, residents have
Not
been asking us
Wilson
what the plan
again.
for opening and closing.
Keep bombarding them with emails, but they have something new to say. Okay, shall we move on to Cartmouth Moor Road then? So, I assume this is Willie Conley again, isn't it?
I mean,
We've
not
covered that
sure.
already,
Is it not?
Yeah, we've covered it already, yeah.
I think we've sorted what we're doing.
And is there anything else that?
I mean, it's unfortunate, isn't it, this one, in that they are now taking action, enforcement action, but I'm told that that can drag on for an awful long time.
But if they've started, they've started,
There's nothing you can do with it.
and again, they've started.
So
It's a step forward.
Yeah, we appreciate it, yeah,
Yeah,
taking
yeah,
enforcement action.
Yes, some input, yeah, good. Yeah. Okay, choose bit now, then we covered that.
Yeah, we have.
Yeah.
I think like we've had good progress on the previous two, and then this one kind of.
This one,
I kind of feel I don't think we're back at square one yet, but it's complicated, and especially about the other issue. It was quite alarming hearing what the residents said today. I've had a lot of correspondence with Sally over the last year or so about Cheesegate now, and we've had some good results with that, getting the blocks in there, but now they've gone. So hopefully we can get something else progressing with it. But it's the other one that's Scalegate, or is it Scalegate? I'm getting mixed up which one's it. Just the other road further around. Yeah, different road further around, and I haven't walked down there for years because, with COVID and things like that, I've not been really around that area. My mum and dad's and walking up there, having baby. So, but like, so I didn't know it had blocks on that where there's that track as well. Cause I'm aware of that track. I've walked down that track quite a few times. But like, I didn't know about all the problems they're having with that, and I haven't seen correspondence. But I've spoken to both of them downstairs about it, because I was quite alarmed and shocked about what they said, and they're trying to arrange a meeting with themselves, and they want to meeting with the police as well, because they're about alarmed by what's been happening to them before and the abuse that they've had. So I'm going to try and do that personally, but as well I think that Sally will try and send the information on to Rich, and then Rich can chase police and try and find out what they're thinking of doing about it.
In relation to police and antisocial behaviour, that used to be my job. So if you do report it, they won't be able to come out every Sunday morning, there's 4 befores there.
Yeah.
But if you can persuade people that it's still worth reporting it, because there's antisocial behaviour gets reported all over the shop, and it's often kids on bikes, for example, that's classic.
Yeah.
But they do dedicate resources to where the most incidents land. So if residents stop ringing because they think the police aren't doing anything, nothing ever will be done. But if they keep ringing, so that the inspector of that neighbouring area,
Yeah.
is being asked by his line manager, what are you doing about all these antisocial behaviour complaints on Cheesegate now? Then it becomes a priority for the inspector to be badgering Kirklees or a word about it. So
Yeah.
that will be the message I pass
So
on.
don't stop
Yeah.
complaining.
No, no, no.
Yeah, the facts are that, and if it's happening at the same time every week, the same things are happening, then
Yes.
it becomes a bit maybe we might get somebody up there.
See,
I know what you mean.
In Bradford, where I was, they had an antisocial behaviour team on the council. And like I said, this is 6 or 7 years ago, so cutbacks may have cut it all back, I don't know. But people like that would get a diary to fill in every time it was happening, so that I think one of the ladies said, Kirklees have said they've got no record of antisocial behaviour. Well, that shouldn't be the case if they are reporting it.
Yeah. Okay.
It is a very frustrating sort of carry on.
I know. If you get burgled once and the insurance payout and you repair everything, don't you? If you're suffering antisocial behaviour, it's constantly that.
You quite often get burgled again, and we
Well,
were burgled 3
yeah,
times.
I know.
And the thieves waited till they give you time to
Yeah,
replace your telly, and then they come and burgle
That
you
can
again.
happen, but you know what I mean. It's not there every night, every weekend, is it?
If you ring 101 and you might be close to an hour before you get through to
I
anyone.
can't control that, but if you
And it's every week, almost every night, this is happening, and you just think, what
Yeah,
is it?
but without-
possible?
yeah.
but
If
what
they
I'm
don't
saying is,
if we don't have the data saying there's a problem, the problem
from
won't
my
be dealt with,
experience
so-
of our limited resources, we've got to recognise this is all down to limited resources.
Yeah.
But the way it works and the way limited resources are allocated are the people who are prepared to stay on the phone 15 minutes and log it and get an incident number every time are likely to get a better service.
More like this.
All I would say, looking at a bigger picture, is do we really want police resources putting into something like this? And the solution lies with our local authority, which is closer.
But if we get police pressure on the local authority as well as
Yeah,
our
that's
pressure
right,
and
that's
the
exactly
public
right.
pressure,
If you've
they'll
got-
probably
if you-
listen more to the police than anybody
There
else.
will be multi-agency meetings, and if the inspector or above's at that meeting saying, look, the fact that you've removed them concrete bollards in Cheesegate now is wasting a lot of my office's time. Impetus is there for Kirklees to say, all right, then we'll put them back. That's how it works.
Okay. Thanks for that, Chris.
Yeah.
That's helpful.
Yeah, thanks very much.
But yeah, tell people, however frustrating it is to try and get through, to keep reporting it.
Yeah, I think that's the lesson, isn't it? Right, moving on then, item 169, Hinchcliffe Mill, I'm sorry, access concerns, sorry. Can we note the letter? Dear Mark, thank you. Right, item 170, planning policy and guidance from locality. I don't know if people had time to read this. I thought it was quite an interesting document there, because one of the things it's highlighting sort of greater importance for neighbourhood development plans, which is a good thing, and also giving more weight to socially rented housing, which is another good thing. It's full of good things, and then some kind of move against land banking. So it's got some interesting
things we want to
interesting things in it. So, yeah. Okay.
So yeah, noted.
Noted, just note that. Footpaths and rights of way.
Nothing to know.
That's right.
Why is it on the agenda?
Because it's just a section that keeps it.
Okay, so we're inspired now.
I mean, those early items to do with Ramsey
Yeah.
Road and stuff is
It could
footpaths
be.
and rights.
Yes,
and
I
ways.
think,
Footpaths
yeah.
and rights, yeah. Right, remaining committee budget, right, so, we've resolved £3,000 for the Hamforth Market project, which I understand is now going to be at the bottom of schools. I'm pretty sure it's going to be at the bottom of School Street rather than off the court, because it was just become too complicated to do that. Too many people to be won over. So it's the Methodist Church has given permission for it to be at the bottom of School Street. So that's it's closer to the town. So I think that's probably a good a good venue.
You're car parking, so people can park up there and go to the market and use it. It'll get really busy. So it'll actually be on the highway then at the bottom.
Yes, there's the kind of, I think there's 3 garages, and you know, I don't know whether they're in use or not, just past the
They're behind the bottles recycling.
Yes,
Yeah.
behind, yeah.
At the dead end near the
Yes, at the
footbridge.
dead end of the
No,
footbridge.
that's what makes sense, right? And that's really good.
I think, yeah.
It's a nicer bit, it's nicer to be in than the London.
Relatively sheltered as well, actually, from the wind.
Yeah, so I think that's probably a good move, so you know, our £3,000 I think be well spent. Right. We'll see. Right, so there's £7,000 earmarked for road safety, which we've agreed that a portion of that is going to be, in principle, is going to be spent on the SID. Okay, right, so we're taking that to the full council, and we will, as Richard suggested, suggest some locations for initial locations for the SID. Right, this next. Are we okay to move on? Happy? Number 173, this is an odd one, really. The Lundy shop. I don't know quite where we can go with this. I mean, this is not. It's not really parish council.
Would it fall to kind of environmental health?
Yes,
Those are
yeah.
refrigeration units, aren't they? Presumably they make noise. There'll be some noise restraints.
Yeah. Yeah, I was
I
going to.
can see why they're annoyed.
Oh, absolutely.
It's
Boring, isn't it? And I mean, I guess some of the stuff in cages is recycling as well. So, like recycled cards and so on.
I thought there were a few different elements here, wasn't there? I mean, it's in a conservation area.
Yeah.
I couldn't find any planning application for these fridge units or the garage door. So presumably they've done that without planning.
Possibly.
So can we refer that to Kirklees planning?
Well, I mean, I think it was a lady, was it?
There's a man who,
There's a man.
I know
I
emails.
mean, he could go to Kirklees enforcement, couldn't he, and say, I believe they've done this without planning.
Yes.
It doesn't really need us to do
Yeah.
that, does it?
No, I don't think we should be engaged in that. But
No.
I think we could refer them to Kirklees Environmental Health.
Yeah, I think it's a housekeeping issue.
And
Yeah.
planning as
And plan, yeah.
and planning as well. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, planning and
Yeah.
enforcement.
And also, we don't know whether they've contacted the Kirklees Ward Council
Yeah.
as well. They ought to. That should be their first.
Well, my other thought was, have they actually complained to all this? Has anyone actually said, we've got a problem?
Good point.
Has
yeah.
he thought of having a word with them?
Yeah.
A fence might do the trick. A
Mm.
high fence might do it.
Yeah.
Because I don't think those refrigeration units make as much noise as they used to in the old days. I don't think it's constant worry.
When you look at the before and after though, there was only one there, it was quite small, and then there are two.
Yes, there
So
was.
three times bigger.
Yeah, so presumably
That's
storing storing stock in that building now, and it needed refrigeration. So are we happy? Have we agreed with what we're doing? That we won't directly get, we're not directly getting involved, but we would.
Signposted
We
to
will
the relevant
signpost,
authorities.
Express our sympathies. And,
Yes.
So we recognise your concerns.
Yes.
And it does look a mess, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Hopefully, it'd be really upset, wouldn't you, if it was.
Well, that'd be nice when they're moving around those cage things.
Right. Last item. Publicising the work of the parish council. Is there anything in today's?
If we publicise the speed thing when we get it, we might be inundated with suggestions where we might want to put it.
I was thinking that. Everyone's got an opinion, everyone's somewhere, don't they? But it's,
Well, that's why.
Well, it saves us going out and looking for so we can then look at the long list and make decisions, yeah?
A slight tangent, but the screen in the library, is that something that we can use as parish to publicise whatever we want to publicise?
You mean the big screen when you go in?
The big
there's a
screen.
is in the
It's in the window, isn't it?
There's a new screen in the window.
oh, I've heard about that,
I think
yeah.
you have to go in through the door, don't you, to see it? Is that
No, you see
what
it
it's
from
told me?
No, there's a different one. It used to be there's that massive computer screen that you used to be able to do touch screen stuff on as you go in. But there's a like TV screen.
Oh, the TV
window,
screen,
the first two windows.
the
you
thing
can
that
see.
Margaret Downside White Love. Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know where they're getting the data from that's going on
No.
there, but it might be worth.
Is it something we could use? That's my
Yes,
thought.
yeah,
So-
that should be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The libraries are usually very sympathetic to putting up that sort of community
Yeah,
stuff.
this is
I'm not sure who controls it.
Well, I think it's Margaret, I believe it's Margaret Dale and Sarah Whitelaw. But I don't know how, and given that the parish council gave money for this.
Yes.
What? The library?
I thought,
No,
no, it's not for the library, it's for the screen. I thought we'd given money for it.
No, I don't think so.
Did we not give money for the screen? No. Where did that come from? Anyway, so, yeah,
That's
so,
something else.
so let's explore this.
Just thinking of the sort of things
Yes.
that Rich puts on
Yeah.
Facebook, perhaps he's doing one.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point. Because not everybody's on Facebook, are they? So,
It's an additional notice board for us, isn't it? If we can use it.
Yeah. I don't know how it works. I haven't seen it. Okay, anything else besides? No. Thank you. Thanks everybody.
Thanks.